alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing, guys? Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Tonight, I would like to speak about red flags and signs that when you see it in your future spouse. And also we'll talk about some red flags for those who are married in a little bit, maybe at the end. But I want to start and focus more about those who are in relationships and they are considered this person to be a future spouse. If for you as an individual or for you as parents, when it comes to your children as well, or friends, or somebody asking you. So these are some things that I think you should take it very serious. And hopefully we can have a beneficial conversation tonight about this important topic. Because as we all know, it is so important to ensure that the next generation among our community have a stable life. And not to be married to someone that they just can live with, but they can be married to someone that they can't live without. Somebody that they're so attached to, somebody that they love so much, and they really build a strong relationship and a strong family. A strong family means a strong community. Strong community means a strong ummah. Strong ummah means a strong, great future for Islam and for Muslims, inshallah ta'ala, and for the country at large as well. So, I know some of the things that I'm going to share with you, and I want to start with this point. And in my opinion, this is one of the most important points of my talk tonight. That so many of them I'm going to tell you, you might know already, something that you are familiar with. Many people see these signs, they see these red flags clear in front of them, but they ignore it. And they just don't want to be serious about it. And I think one of the reasons for many people to do that is just because they are so deeply in love with the person. And that usually, especially before marriage and before any halal way of building this relationships, it means that there is so much haram already invested in the relationships. They call it halal dates, and I don't call it halal date. I call it Muslim dating style, because it's not halal in most of the cases. So they go out alone, there is an excessive type of conversations, there is so much love, khalwa, touching, maybe kissing, hugging, so much attachment between him and her. So what happens when you have that strong attachment to the person? You develop something it's called he or she, the only one. And khalas, for yourself, that's the only one out there in the world for me. You know what? He is the only one, she's the only one. Absolutely true when you get married. He is the only one, she's the only one. But before you get married, it's so dangerous to have this mindset. Because what this mindset do to you, it blocks you from seeing anything else. And people, when they are so emotionally driven, you cannot come, as parents, for example, you cannot come to start to make logic to them or to speak to them logically, because he is already blocked. He doesn't think with his brain, think with his heart, or her heart. So you cannot make any sound logic to them anymore. They are more emotionally driven. So you have to touch their heart. You have to recognize their feeling. You have to bring them to their common sense, step by step. So it's not a logical thing as much as an emotional thing. But that's for case for when you deal with someone in your family or your friends who are so into this, even though he or she see this red flag. But for you yourself, for those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not put them in that level yet, in that test yet, if you are in a relationship, please make sure that you keep it halal. Because when you cross the line and you start doing haram things in the relationship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish you. And one of the punishment is that you don't see these red flags anymore. And you keep continuing in this relationship in the wrong way. And, one sister, she reached to that level, they already even, a'udhu billah, sometimes they fall into zina and he knows everything about me. He saw everything of me. I know everything about him. I can't even think that I can cut the relationship. So what your brain starts playing a trick on you and will tell you, oh, you know what, that's not a big deal. This person will change, you know? And that's the second point that I want to make sure that you understand clearly. This concept of he will change, she will change, you know, it's a very also wrong way of approaching this issue. Parents, please stop telling your kids, because you're so excited about this candidate for your daughter, or you're so excited about this girl for your son, and your son tells you, but mom, she doesn't wear hijab. Oh, she will change. You know, oh, but he doesn't pray. He will change. You know, that going into the relationship with the assumption, oh, but he's like this and that, he will change, she will change. I have bad news for you. You know, people don't really change. The reality is people don't really change. Very few people change, especially when it comes to the character of the person. People adjust a little bit. And in the end of the day, when you're married to the one person, it became a game of, you know, balancing your options. Is it better to stay with this problem in the person? I gain more of this relationship. But if you are out the relationship, why would you go into it? You don't have to make that choice. You're still out. So this idea of they will change, people adjust, especially when it comes to character. You know when people change? When they know and they realize 100% that this is something wrong, and they've been working on themselves so hard to change themselves. And while they are changing, it will take time, lapse, while they are in this process. You have to be very patient with that person as they go through that change. And my advice for someone who's not into the relationship, wait until the person's cleaned themselves up and real change happen in their life. And when this happens, yes, I can look into the option. And I'm talking specifically about character traits. And something that it became a habit, part of the DNA of the person. Okay? Somebody came to me and said, Sheikh, I love this person so much, but he is addicted to drugs. You know, I think I'm the source of strength for this person. You know, I help this person. Habibi, you are going to be his wife, not his therapist, not his addiction therapist. If he's addicted to drugs, you need an addiction therapist. He doesn't need a wife. You know, I think I can help him. Yeah, you're not his shrink, okay? You are going to be his spouse. There's a big difference between these two. This person, all these red flags, but you know what? I feel so bad for the person. Yeah, that's not why you marry someone, because you feel bad about them. Give them money if they are poor. You know, let someone from their gender give them a hug. You know, but it doesn't mean you feel bad for someone because I marry that person. With all these red flags I see. So one thing, they will change, and again, go back to the assumptions of they will change, that this is not, it doesn't really happen a lot. Okay, and there is adjustment happen. Some things, you know, even I will be honest, I always, when I talk about marriage, to give even personal, you know, good and bad and ugly of my life. You know, and I think when he became a sheikh and he became a public figure, nothing anymore private. Or most of your life became public. You know, in my life, I still have certain things I grew up doing. I was raised in certain ways. You know, my family are so fed up, were like angry always at me. He said, Waleed, you always yell. But I was raised, yelling is raising voice. It doesn't mean like you're mad or like that's a bad manner. But it's just a different culture. Okay? It's just a different culture. But you know what? I try, I fail, I try, I fail, but I'm very committed from inside to make sure that I don't raise my voice. Even though I wasn't raised that raising voice, it means something bad. It means I'm serious about it. But in American culture, no, it's not. It's not a good way of educating or talking to kids or talking to children or even talking or expressing your concern. So it's a struggle. It's not an easy. You know, for years and decades, the person working himself.
But that's not the biggest red flag that makes my wife divorce me, but I just give you an example of how certain things like this, part of who you are, became so hard for you to get for years work on it, even though from inside you feel the need for that change. Anyway, so what are the red flags that I think it is so important for you to immediately when you see it, to hit the brake and to reevaluate? I think one of the biggest red flags when it has to do with the religion, and I want to break this down to many points. Red flags related to religion. Number one, when someone who is basically I'm not talking about somebody who's not from your same religion. That's a different conversation. I'm talking about someone who's Muslim like you, but someone with the aqidah or a belief that is against what you believe in. Like you marry someone, okay, who is not in your belief. Faisal, a sister that I know, she married a guy even though she knew that this person is Shia, from the Shia. But she's Sunni. She's a convert to Islam. She converted to be a Muslim Sunni. She said, I was in a situation, I need money, I need to pay my rent. I couldn't find anyone except this neighbor of mine who was nice enough to pay my rent several times. And the fourth time he said, that will be your mahar. Consider it all the previous payments. I agree. I told him, but you're Shia, I'm Sunni. He said, no. She said, I know the red flags, but I didn't listen to it. I didn't pay. He's like secular. He's thus in America, lived most of his life in America. He's from overseas. He doesn't care about Shiism. He said, I don't care about Shiism. After the first kid, going back to his country, guess what? Mom and dad starting saying to our kids, Ya Ali, Ya Hussein, all these kind of Shia things start embedded to our kids. So many people marry a Christian woman or someone who was like Christian, and all of a sudden, after a while, you never go to church. But now, since you are going to the masjid, I want to take my kids to the church. So things change after a while. And that became something she has to deal with and get divorced and have a kids when she was young age. Divorce, she couldn't take it anymore because she see things that is kufr, shirk, and bid'ah that she cannot take. Another person told me about his story. His wife, she was prescribed to some extreme Sufi groups. And he's not this kind of person. So when you see someone like that, it actually causes a lot of damage in the relationships later. Someone who follows certain shuyukh and aqidah and believes and some kind of, that's a red flag, and that's a big red flag. Because your spouse will impact you. Al-Imam Jazak San'ani, rahimahullah, he's the sheikh of Imam Ahmed. When he went to Yemen, the Yemeni people want to hold him in Yemen. He's not from Yemen. But the people of Sana'a want to hold him in Yemen. So what they did, they married him a woman from Sana'a, from Yemen. But she was a Shia. He asked his sheikh said, don't marry her. He's a student of knowledge, he thinks that she's Sunni and stuff like that. He married her. Guess what? When you read the biography of Abdul Razak today, they said, وَكَانَ فِيهِ تَشَيُّعٌ. He was influenced by Shi'ism. Rahimahullah. She influenced him. So one of the red flags that I consider big red flags when it comes to the religion, when you see someone who is very different. Also, not necessarily that believe or prescribe to a certain sect or group, also groups. Like for example, I dealt with a case when someone married a sister and she ended up like a pro-ISIS. And she told him, my mahar is to go live in Syria. Guess where he's living right now? He's doing 18 years in jail. So, exactly, where he's living right now. But you know what? That's a red flag. Someone like, hey, I prescribe to this sect. I'm like one of these, somebody like prescribed to some like ideologies or something that is not from the Sunnah, not from the Quran and Sunnah. That's also something that a big red flag. Another one, somebody who do not prescribe to anything, but have no respect for the religion. Anyone who have no respect, even if this person not, because I don't expect everybody listening to my talk has to be a religious person. My talk is very general. Even if you're not a religious person, even if that person, he or she not religious, but they have respect for the religion. But don't ever be married to someone who have no respect for religion. Because in the end of the day, we as Muslims, religion play a role in our life. You don't want to be married, if it's today or later. How much you committed to the religion is another question. But I think more important to me that you make sure you don't ever marry someone who have no respect for the religion. So if you see praying or fasting, he makes fun of you, or have no respect for allowing you to spend money or time in learning your religion. You know, have no respect for your teachers, for the Quran that you learn. Someone like that you don't want to have as a husband or a wife. Somebody respect religion, value religion. So anyone who should disrespect the religion is something for me to consider a big red flag to make, you know what, hold on. Yes, people might change later on when it comes to how much they committed to the religion. Yeah, I don't know much, I learned about, all of us grow religiously. We married or we're not very practiced Muslims and now we grow together. That's understandable. But someone who have no respect for the religion at all, consider this a backward stuff, that's a red flag. Make me, you know what, stop. I'm not gonna get into this relationship. Another sign for religion which is so important is as-salat. That's a big red flag. Somebody miss salat as if it's nothing. MashaAllah, I pray 3 times a day. You know, I'm very religious. I pray like 3 times a day. What are these 3 times? Yeah, I need one on the night and one on the when I wake up and one during the daytime. What's that? Or 2 times when I wake up and before I go to sleep. What's in between? I just join them all in the night. That's, okay, I understand that one time in your life, maybe you missed Allah and you have to combine between all them, something happened. But that's the regular base and means nothing to you. That's the red flag. Waqt as-salat. Salat means nothing. One of the things that I always advise people to ask the conversation, what time, just unintentional, what time is Salat al-Maghrib? Oh, Salat al-Maghrib, it is 5:30, that's right? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, sorry, my mistake. No clue what Maghrib prayer is, what Fajr prayer is, what Dhuhr prayer time is. That's red flags. And unfortunately, and I said this with regret, that sometimes you see among sisters, missing salah is more common. And the reason for this, because there's a certain time in the month when they don't pray. So if she stayed 10, 15 days not praying, then she stopped praying again, you know, it became, I kind of been not praying for 2 weeks. It became hard to pick up again. And I think this is, that I understand the struggle, I understand this test, but this is, if it shows a commitment to the salah after that, it just shows the quality of your deen, the quality of your Islam, and how much you committed you are to the religion. So really, something I respect a lot in our sisters. Would they commit to the titles? But somebody doesn't care about the salat, doesn't care about praying. You know, missing Jum'ah is something normal for him or her or him, because she's not obligated for Salat al-Jum'ah. Like, another red flag, in my opinion, it's also a big no, which is somebody who does not show respect. And respect to you and to your family. For me, that's a red flag. And I will say it again. For you and your family. Even if your family are silly. You know what? I can talk about my dad and mom, but my spouse don't talk bad about my dad and my mom. That's called, because respecting my father and my mother is part of respecting me. I might disagree. I think your dad is not reasonable. I think your mom is over jealous. I think they are, you know, but showing disrespect and being very disrespectful, that just translates that because out of respecting you, I respect the thing that important to you and value to you. So anyone who doesn't show respect to you, can anyone tell me how people don't show respect to you? Let's engage you a little bit. Like what? When I say he must, a red flag when somebody doesn't show respect to you. Like what? Raising their voice over you. You know, very good. Always cutting you off. Never really respect you give you a chance to talk. What else? Very good point. What else? Showing disrespect to you. Not never listen to you. Okay? No respect for your choices, what you love, what you like. You know? Okay, what else? So arrogance, like you nothing to him. You know? Who are you? You just a woman. You just, you know, you disrespect to even not to you, to the whole gender. You know? And somebody, for example, oh, you just, you have a diploma. I have a PhD. Who are you? You know? How much you make? You know? Did you go to college? It's so disrespectful for you. He doesn't have respect for who you are. Okay, that's also showing this. What else? Like something like can be real.
Does not submit mistakes.
Yeah, somebody would never admit to his mistakes. That's arrogance. Yeah.
Makes fun of you.
Makes fun of the person, always being sarcastic, always make fun of you, always trying to put you down. By the way, why this is so important? Because anyone from the beginning tried to put you down, tried to destroy you mentally, emotionally, breaking your basically self-esteem.
It's gonna get worse.
It's gonna get worse. And what get worse to be what? Abuse. That's what you call domestic abuse. One of the things bullying happen and domestic abuse happen is when person, how to control someone. You're only able to control someone if you destroy that person. If you have them very low self-esteem, if you make them not worth something for themselves, they basically bend their back so they can ride over your back. And that's how he controls. And guess what? If you ever get into a relationship and later on this person became abused, and by the way, that's mainly in men a lot, but some women like that too. They just abuse husband. They control them. They make them basically in their grip. And unfortunately, some parents, they said, خليها زي الخاتم في صبرك. Yani the advice they give it to you, make him like a ring to you. That means she's not a piece of metal, or he's not a piece of metal. You know, that's not how. Please don't cross in front of the camera. Oh, you just did it again. Good, no problem. Good. So this is something important because in future can be very destroying your relationship. And unfortunately, when you're married to someone who have this problem, okay, disrespecting, and I will associate with this is basically a controlling behavior. Somebody so controlling, unbelievable level of control. She can justify that with jealousy, whatever they want. I care for you, I love you. That's not love, that's not jealous. That's called controlling freak, he or she. You know? And that basically leads to what? To abuse and bullying. And if you fall into the grip of someone like that, it's very hard to get out. I'm like, I know sister married a guy for about 8 years. Okay? This is a real story. She said, Sheikh, I have red tapes in my apartment. I said, what do you mean? I thought she's talking about red tapes like intangible, like kind of red tapes, like, you know, rules. She said, no. An actual red tapes. I said, what do you mean? She said, you see the window? There is like 4 feet away from the window or 3 feet away. He have a red tape. I'm not allowed to cross that tape. I'm not allowed to come closer to the window or to the patio. Red tape. Almost he is the one who allowed me to cross. Like what? She said, I saw all these signs. I saw how controlling he is. But I never thought it would reach that level. And I was the one who divorced her from him. And he was so angry at me. He actually threatened my life.
And it's worse if he is practicing, he prays and everything.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So it is really scary. Had nothing to do with religion. Controlling this is a character trait. And that's why it is so beautiful how the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man tardawna deenahu wa khuluqah." He did not say you only pleased with his deen, but also khuluq, manner, character trait. Because you might be a religious person, but you're a monster. You might be a good Muslim, but you're stingy. You might be a good person who pray and do a lot of good things, but you know what? You are a terrible communicator. So there's so many other things beside the religion. That's why the Prophet put these two together. The character trait of the person. You have to look at it. I know also another sister, just the controlling behavior issue. Yeah. For example, not allowed to have phone, not allowed to have. There's a brother, and these examples not from people like born in the West. This guy born, raised in England, and lived in America. His wife not allowed to eat with him. She wait until he finishes food. I know about people in modern days. I said, and what I asked myself, what would make person live like that? She said, Sheikh, and he admitted in front of me. He said, yes, when I sit on the couch, to sit on the floor. Yes. And I said to him, why? He said, to show respect. When I married her, she was arrogant. I want to break her spirit. You know what the question that, I don't want to scare you, but I want to tell you that this is serious. I'm tired of dealing with cases like this. And these are not random cases. These are, yes, it's not like I get cases like this every day. But they are large in number enough to tell you that this is a problem that exists. And it can manifest itself in many different ways. Maybe I give you the most extreme stories I saw. But I asked myself, what would lead a sister or a brother to be in a situation like this? A brother was suffering with his wife controlling behavior. She controls it so much. Where are you going? Who with you? Where are you? I need to know where it's your destination. You know what? I need to see a location in your phone. Why are you talking to this person? A camera everywhere. That's not love. That's a controlling problem you have. And the problem, I asked all these people, they said we saw these signs before marriage. He said, Chef, you know what is my breaking point one time? I was in the Walmart. And he said, the girl, the cashier, she said, okay, this is your change. And I reached my hand. She was next to me. And she just gave me the money. Oh my God. She came and she slapped her hand on my hand. And the coins and the money were all over the place. Now, come and kiss him too. Take his number. She said, excuse me? Yeah, I know all this looks. And you, why would you flirt with it? I said, I'm taking the money. Flirt or what? Next time you don't ever talk to a girl. Yes, ma'am. But he said, I went home, Sheikh, and he called me. And he said, Sheikh, I'm done. I can't live like that. But it took him 2 years to be done. It took him 2 years to, I guess he's well done at that time. It's not done. You know? But inside, you know, there is a saying in Arabic, وَشَرُّ الْبَلِيَّةِ مَا يُضْحِكُ. The worst of matters is what makes you laugh. Not laugh because it's a laughable matter. It's because it's so sad. Sometimes when things are so painful, you just smile and laugh. But again, these are ignored from the beginning. Also, one of the things that it is a red flags to me, when people always make fun of others. Nothing satisfied him. Believe me, this person, he will never be satisfied with you later on. Always make fun of others. Everything is not good. Everything is doomed. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam man qala halaka an-nas fa huwa ahlakuhum. When person said all people are doomed, he is the most doomed one. And it was said, not the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, but one of the companions said that. So somebody always praise himself, he's perfect, Mr. Right. You know? My wife's middle name, I thought my wife's last name is right, but I didn't know that her first name also. Her first name is always. So it became always right. You know? It doesn't like work that way. When somebody, you see these red flags, hit the brake. This can lead to problem later on. Somebody who always arrogant, nothing pleases him. Everybody is bad, everybody is less, everybody is not good. Always make fun of others, always put others down. Believe me, it's gonna be very hard for this person to sync with that person. And even if he shows that he's pleased with you today, very soon will start treating you the same way he's treating others. Now he just fascinated about you, he's excited about the relationship. The moment the people get in together, live together, a couple of weeks, months, and after that, things goes back to what it really, the real you comes. They have a say. They say in the engagement, people show you the best, and later they show you the rest. Okay? That's very true. I believe in that. And I think that's not a bad thing. But when the rest is so different from the best, that's the problem. I don't expect everybody to be in the same first 2 years. Should be growing, but people go up and down. But should not be a very big, huge gap, but the rest is completely ugly life. That's something that we don't want. Also, one of the red flags is lying. When you catch the person's lying, you cannot build marriage, any relationships, based on principle. One of the biggest principles here is called trust. Trust is vital to relationships. Trust is like blood pressure. You don't feel it, but if it's abused, it's fatal, can kill you. Trusting is basically one thing that damages trust is lying. How can I trust someone who keep lying to me? And I'm not talking about lying in major things. Like somebody now telling me about their spouse. They just find out that their spouse never graduated from college. They've been married to a person, have kids with, and I'm talking about people in your age. Not I'm talking about like the young brother. They just found out he never graduated from college. They just found out that he never really held a job at the university that he claimed that he works at. All these years was lying. He goes every day in the morning, she doesn't know. For 2-3 years. He never had a job. Actually, when because of the divorce and stuff like that, so they look into the university this person never worked for us. He never even graduate from that university. That's scary. Lying is especially in big things like that. Lying about his background, where are you from? What kind of job, what kind of financial situation that he's in. Also, One of the red sign and red flags, in my opinion, when you see hot temper, somebody violent, like somebody, there's a sign of violence, that this person can turn to violence. Like hit things with anger, hit kids. That's so scary. Because that person can be abuser, bully, and fear can keep you in the situation for a very long time. A sister came to me. This sister in her 50s, okay? What age? 50s. And her husband still beat her up. Yani you think 50s, خلاص, yani she's a grandma. She's literally a grandma, but he still hit her. I said to her, why are you even in this relationship? What are you getting out of it? خلاص, you're in your 50s. All your kids are grown kids. The tense of hitting or stuff like that is not as it used to be. She told me, actually, Sheikh, I got pregnant from my husband only 1 month after marriage. I was upstairs and I was pregnant with my child, my first child. He was so angry at me, he hit me and he pushed me and I rolled from the stairs. First month, yani honeymoon. And I said to myself, if I keep my baby, I'm staying in the marriage. What a dumb idea. And if I don't keep my baby, I'm getting out of the marriage. Is that how you define your marriage? By rolling over stairs? And what's going to happen to you next? Now, 35 years later, she's telling me what I do. Because fear. He's so abusive. He hates. She really doesn't feel safe. She said, I think he can kill me if I divorce him. She's staying in the marriage. So what I'm saying is, violence is something, a big flag. By the way, I also dealt with brothers beaten by their wives. Literally beat him up. And that's also not fun. She beats him up, hit him, like bruises. Once here in this masjid, a guy came to me and I had a serious talk. He came to me for something else. He said, Sheikh, my wife kicked me out of the house. I said, what did you do? He said, I was late like half an hour or an hour. And I've been late like a couple of days. She literally told me, can I come back home? Okay, what can I help you with? He said, can you talk to her to let me in? He said, I slept in a hotel before. I don't have money to sleep in the hotel. Just talk to her. I went, okay, I'll talk to her. I've never had the kind of, position to be put on. So I talked to her on the phone. And she said, yes, I'll let him this time only because of you. I get down, girl. What a character. Listen, but what did he really do? And the way he talked to her, I'm so sorry. I really was caught on work. The way he talked, that's not love. That's not respecting his wife. That's somebody afraid of his wife. And she said, she beat me up. She's bigger than me and she really hits me. And I love her. Then I asked him, did you see sign? He said, yes. Every time I see things like that, I can tell you, they have seen this sign before marriage. So that's when it comes to violence. I just want to balance it a little bit between. Also related to, I told you, is unfounded jealousy. So jealousy comes from love. Does not come from controlling. Does not come from not trusting. If I'm jealous because I don't trust you, that's a bad jealousy. If I'm jealous about you because I control you, that's not a good jealousy. I'm jealous about you because I love you, I care for you, that's good jealousy. That enough? No. Even if the cause for jealousy is good, the outcome of jealousy has to be good. Two things when it comes to jealousy. What I mean by the outcome, yani how I behave. So I'm jealous about you, but if my jealous, motivated by love and care, but my jealous take me, put a red tapes and tell you not to answer phone, not to that's not a good jealous. The outcome is wrong. I strip you from your freedom. If my jealous, motivated by not trusting him, or low self-esteem about yourself, I heard a story, like one sister, she was walking in Disney store. You know the Disney store? You know, big Disney stores, they have Batman, you know, statue of Batman, big man. And he, Lloyd or Gersh, woman, you like him, that's right. She said, what? Who? Batman. And he's dead serious. Let's get out of the store. That's not love. That's low self-esteem. Go work out. Really, like, some high self-esteem. It just, you know. One of the red flags for me, if the person is miser, stingy, that's a red flag. Stinginess is a very bad character trait. And I would say, consider me an old-fashioned, especially in men. Why is it especially? Bad for everybody, but men especially. Because men supposed to be the one who spend on the family, take care of the finance. So if the person is so stingy, and so tight, I think that's enough. A sister came to me and she said, what do you think, Sheikh? I have this relationship with this guy. She's divorced, she has 3 kids, or 4 kids. So she went with her husband out to eat, or her fiance. Maybe she was married to him at that time. You just get married. So they went to the restaurant. So when the bill came, the waiter said, 1 bill. He said, no, split the bill. I pay for me and for her, and she pay for her kids. And he's an engineer. He's not like a loser who has no job. He said, that's fine, that's right. Their dad pay for their child support, that's right. She said, yeah, that's fine. But if you have something like that, that's first, he doesn't have respect for your family. He's not willing to take you who you are. You know, it's not easy to marry a woman with kids. I 100% agree with that. It's a big challenge, big responsibility. But if you're not up to it, don't go for it. There is people up to that, don't have a problem with that. And you make sure if you're going to marry someone who is willing to marry you, he marry you the way you are in your family and in your situation. You know what? I take care of my mom. It's not easy to marry someone who's taking care of his mom, sick mother. So you're willing to take it the way, this is the package. That's how it is. You know, I'm taking care of my parents. You want to come and join the family? Ahlan wa sahlan. So you have to be honest with that. And that requires certain things. But also him being so stingy that even for a meal, for a dinner, not willing to pay for it, that's just a red flag. How do you expect this person tomorrow to spend? And guess what? She came back to me in this room and she said to me, 4 or 5 months later, she said, I'm done. I said, what broke it any for you? She said, 4 or 5 months I've been asking to pay for rent, pay for anything. Not a single dollar. Didn't pay for anything in her expenses. He lives in another state. And he said, I spent all my money traveling to you. I said, that's it. Even though I didn't have a lot of respect for her when she told me that this what made it break it, the relationship. Because right there at the restaurant should be the end of the relationship. But you know what? I always give excuse to people. I don't know what's been going through. Sometimes it's very hard to get from one marriage to another, from one divorce to another. So people make hard choices. But believe me, it's much easier to deal with it now than to deal with it later. To say, you know what, I'm stopping the relationship. Another big red flags, addiction problems, okay? Or substance abuse. You know, somebody in drugs, and that includes marijuana. Because a lot of youth today, and unfortunately, I'm not talking about someone, you know, smoked like a joint once or like, you know, his life or our life, like, you know, tried it, you know, like what his name said, I did it, but I never inhaled it, okay? Okay? So I'm not talking about someone that, I'm talking about someone who take this and every, by the way, somebody addicted to drugs, he said, I'm not addicted. But they use it in a very often fashion. Substance abuse is a big red flag. Tayyib, I have a question for you. If somebody said, I used to be substance abuse, I used to be alcoholic, I used to use drugs, but now I'm clean, what do you guys think? What would you do? Yes? What time you think is enough? You don't know. Like if the girls tell you, you know what, I like you, I think you like me, but you know what, I used to shoot some stuff and huh? Years. I was like, just 2 months ago, I'm clean now, alhamdulillah. No, so it has to be enough period of time. You can ask professional people to help you to make that decision. You know, also, I think that's also required for you to ask for tests, for drug tests, for people like change, you know, and willing to deal with that challenge. Abdullah, what do you think?
I was just saying that, like sometimes maybe like somebody converted and they stopped and they converted. Like sometimes, even if it's a small period of time, the conviction is more. But over a large period of time, maybe they're just having a good time. But when things get tough, they'll fall back. So I think maybe you need to ask them, like during the engagement period, that they have to like fulfill some like they have to go to like a therapy for it, some kind of rehabilitation, and they have to pass those.
So Abdullah was saying, sometimes the conviction is so strong, somebody became Muslim, and maybe he used to use drugs before Islam, or she used to use drugs. Yes, now Islam is a very strong motivator, but still, drugs is drugs. Addiction is addiction. Even if you are the most righteous person today, you know what, when it comes to kick in, when you see it, when you smell it, when you feel it, when you're around it, alcohol, you know, you can have a relapse. In this case, what you do, I'm not talking about you're married to this person. You're still outside. I think that's a red flag, make you hit the brake, think not twice, think 100 times before you commit to the relationship. But Abdullah was saying one of the things is you have to make sure that this person also go through therapy, and that therapy will help the person to, because him admitting or her admitting to go through that therapy and, you know, helping them to, it shows you that these persons are sincere in changing their behavior, which is, I think, a good point. Hey, yes?
What about gaming addiction?
Gaming addiction, very good. That's also a very good point. Is that a red flag when you're someone who is a gamer, nothing but gaming? I think it's a big red flag too. And I can tell you one of the things, Shamar, I dealt with so many cases also, especially among young today, that marriage fall apart because he is only sitting on the couch playing games all the time. I had a couple once came to me, and I didn't know that before. So I asked him, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a gamer. I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, I'm a gamer. I'm very good at it. What game you play? They started mentioning all these games. I said, and how do you make your money? He said, by playing games. I make more than you. I said, I'm not a standard for making money. Imam is not a standard. But he said, no. I make more money than my wife. My wife has an chemical engineering degree. I said, wow. He said, yeah, I go to Las Vegas, I play, blah, blah, make money. Then the wife said, Sheikh, believe me, money is not the issue. But the marriage is falling apart. He's so addicted to games. He's so fast-paced. I'll take your point. So fast-paced, so get bored so quickly. You know what? Let's go outside. No, I'm playing games. Stay late in the night. Always on the phone, always like playing games, always with people, with friends. He never had any quality time with his family. That lifestyle is really bad. I came to understand from this experience, it sucks to be married to a gamer. It's not fun. Yes. Backbiting is that a red flag? Person who do not control their tongue, backbite, gossip, stuff like that, that's a red, this shows a bad character trait. Okay, but that leads me to a good point that I think it's worth mentioning here, which is not all red flags are equal. So backbite, different than drug addiction, different than, not praying or missing salah. Another red flag. Would you guys consider, let's put this, first let me put the red flag. The red flag is very suspicious or very scary divorce stories or story. Like someone, it's a mystery why this person got divorced. Never talk about it. It is the very mysterious things. No clarity about it. Or scary, like it's so nasty divorce. Would you guys consider this a red flag? And why? Let's see what the sister think. Yes?
So, can we ask, like, I mean, not to be nosy, but if someone's gonna come and approach to ask me for marriage, is it within my right to say, okay, this is what you do, why do we divorce?
I love accent, that's not being nosy, that's being smart.
Because again, I wanna know what, what I am looking
Dealing well. Wallahi, I got divorced because I used to beat her up. Oh, thank you. Good to know. You get to know that there's a child that he abused her children. That's gonna be a scary thing. Okay? Very scary reason. So I think you should know about what it is. But if somebody hiding it completely, I don't want to talk about it. I think that raises a flag and requires from you to investigate. And I think it's absolutely in full right. But let me follow up with another question. Would you ever ask the person's ex? Would you ever ask this person's ex? Huh? You would? Okay. So let me break it down to you. Why I think it's so risky to ask the ex? Because one, they might have a biased opinion. Okay? Number two, not everybody is honest and like objective and, gonna tell you, things the way it is really. Two, one of the most dangerous things about asking the ex is this. They might plant something in your head, and for the rest of your life, you will always connect it to that. Oh, he never respected women. Let's say, put that. Now, every conversation we have is going to be, oh, she's right. You have no respect for women. Oh, every time, oh, he loves his parents more than anything else. Oh, he's this. So you always, even sometimes it's very innocent. He's not really trying to say that, but because that already, you have a pre-notion about the person, and you start filtering his action through that point. That's why it is so risky to ask and to talk to the person's ex. But, on the other hand, it is important to ask to know what happened, to get an opinion. And I think it is important to see, what if this person lying? He tell you, oh, she used to beat me up. Or she said he was an abuser. And maybe she was the abuser. She was cheating on him. And now the guy wants to know. So you see, there is like maslaha huna and maslaha. What do you think, Shaykh Ammar? Somebody asks you a question like that, what would you do?
I would ask you.
You ask me. Okay. Yes? Oh, no, I'm asking the question. Okay.
Is it a red flag if you ask that person to take an STD test or if they refuse to take it?
can I get to this in a little bit, but so I don't lose the point that I'm talking. So, what do you think? Now I have here reasons why to ask and reasons why not to ask. What do you think we should do? Come on, give me from your wisdom. Say it. What would you do? Would you ask? Okay, two sides of the story. Or three. Like, would you ask, even though with these problems, how can you minimize these problems? How can you reduce these problems? Yes? Huh? But what about these 2 points I mentioned them? Aren't you concerned about them? Yes, but what if it is true? Would you take that chance? Yeah. So that goes to her point. You should ask.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. If you are legitimately, invested in a future relationship, I think that you should ask every question that you have concerns about without any fear that he's going to get upset.
Yeah, I asked him, but I'm talking about you asking the ex.
I think what you can do.
No, like you asked that person's ex. Yeah, because I said 2 points of concern. Yes.
Yeah, I think what you can do is maybe get a third party, like an imam.
Ya salam. That's one of my points. Get a third party. Not directly, so you directly not influence. Somebody wise. So he will not just record everything and tell you, but he will filter the information. Okay? Number 2, if you happen to listen to the person, use common sense also. Don't ask about details, because details can hurt. Get the idea. You know, okay, is the divorce as anything I should be concerned of? Just big picture to understand. So I'm in favor, actually, you can ask the ex if there is a reason, if there is a flag, the person not honest, there is other things give you an indication that this person is, not every person got divorced, you have to ask and to check. But if there is a reason for me to further investigate, I feel that there is something suspicious here, something fishy. Does that make sense? So not every case I will ask. One thing also, when person has no haya, that's another red flag. No shame. No shame. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, al-haya'u min al-iman. It's part of iman. And there is no iman for those who have no shame. وإذا لم تستحي فاصنع ما شئت. الحياء, there's no shame, there's no iman. And that's something that you should be, and unfortunately today there's a lot of people who have no shame. And somebody, I know a brother, he used to be my Facebook feed on all of the days. Like no shame. He posts his pictures, going to striptease clubs, goes in Las Vegas, you know, stuff like that. No shame. When someone like that, if he come to propose to my daughter or to my sisters or to my, to somebody in the community, I will have this as a red flags. I'm not gonna accept. Yes? I'm telling you, he got you a very good husband. Nice. Okay, I think I will stop here, but Abdullah was mentioning there is an important differentiation between envy and jealousy. But that's not directly related to the red flags that we're talking about. And also there's another good point, which is, but it is important to make that distinguish between being jealous of someone and envying someone. Also the issue of making sure to choose someone who represents you well in marriage. That's also another issue, has to do with marriage, can be discussed. But our focus only on finding out these red flags that when you see it, you kind of alert. And I will end with one that I kept it for the last because of the importance of it, which is, well, before the last, also someone who is financially terrible, like never held a job, is so much in debt, has a financial disaster in his life, his or her. That's a red flag. You have to investigate it. Because that person tomorrow will be responsible for your kids, for your family, making his priority correct and take care of children. I'm not saying forever. People can, as they mature, they get better in these areas. It's not has to do with not character trait. It's just a habit. They can maybe adjust. But it is something worth investing time in it. But one red flags, big red flags for me, if you want to tell you who you are, show me who your friends are. If red flags of all this person's friends are bad people, drug addict, gangs, people who know not religious at all, people like big question mark about their character trait. If you hang out with people like that, you most likely like them. One of the things on how to know who you are, I look at your friends. So that's very important to me. And close friends. I'm not talking about people like friends on Facebook or friends on Instagram and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about like good close friends. Yeah, just one second. So this is another issue that you have to look at. And also somebody never ever kept a relationship with anyone. You have friends? No. That means the person have no social life. And that's a red flag. I'm not saying it's X, no, but something make you hit the brake. Yes, I think you should ask for STD test, especially if there is a reason for that. Many Muslim countries, by the way, today, they required a medical test and included that HIV and STD, the basically sexual transmitted diseases. And I think even the person is a good person, there's no shame to ask for a test. I don't think you should take it an insult or anything like that. And one of the things that I would like to enforce in our masjid, that no marriage contract done without medical check. I would like to reach to that level in our masjid. And I think it is important, especially, it's not with sexual transmitted disease only, because some of these things you can get it even if you're not sexually active outside. You can get it because of the bathroom, like hepatitis A and stuff like that, and doctor knows better than me. Some also genetic things, like some diabetes and stuff like that. All these things are things that are important for you to know. So one of the red flags, some scary health also issues about the person, especially if it's in transmitted diseases, or mental health issues. I think that's a red flag to make you help the break. Somebody have a huge mental breakdown, admitted to hospital several times. Somebody always when I married a sister, he was telling me, she thinks that she possessed with a whole tribe of jinn. And you know what? Alhamdulillah, the first tribe got out, but the second tribe is still there, and she's trying to get rid of it. What? How did she know the tribe? How many person in that tribe? And all these scary things show you there is a mental health issues with that person. A person believes that always in hasad and ain and stuff like that, and weird things, and hallucinations, and people tell me sometimes, Sheikh, is it okay if I find myself talking to my cat? I said, yeah, it's okay as long as your cat doesn't talk to you back. When your cats start talking to you back, that's when you need to go to the doctor. But talking to your cats, that's fine, that's normal. But when you think your cat talking to you, no, that's when you need to go visit a doctor. So when I say when you have a mental health issues, that's a red flag, for me. But yes, the brother back there, he was raising his hand first. Go ahead.
India seems to have only less than 1% of divorce rates, and their population is almost 2 million.
For where?
India. Less than 1% divorce rate.
In India.
India, and Portugal has 96%.
They almost have.
Broken.
I'll.
The reasons they found is the closeness of the family. The family.
It's better than the video.
That's the
Okay.
main reason they found.
In 2019, 2018, the divorce rate in India was about 40%, 35%. That's from their national survey. That's not true. That they have a very high suicide rate and they have a high divorce. Maybe not that high in rate, but I give you another country which is very, very strong family tie, like Saudi Arabia. Very family structure. Yet, Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, they have every 9 minutes a divorce case. 40% of divorce rate. So I think family can play a major role in keeping the marriage, can also play a role in breaking marriage. I agree, I appreciate the point. Family support can help a lot. I appreciate it. But I don't think the 1% is an accurate figure, because if I remember, because I give lectures about how this world socially, economically kind of break down. And I gave this in Australia. And I think India has a high rate of suicide and a high rate of divorce, but I might be mistaken. But 1%, that's very, very, very low. That will be interesting to get. Somebody in Google can check out that. Final point to let you guys go for Salah. These red flags that you see, you have to analyze them. They are levels, as I said. Don't put them in one category. Okay, number one. Number two, these red flags means what? Some of them, you know what, X. Completely, I'm out. Some of them, and most of them, I'll say more than 50% of them that mentioned today, it means I'm not gonna rush to make a decision. I'm gonna prolong the engagement period, the contract period. And I need to know this person more. I need to investigate more. I need to ask more before I make the decision. When you see these red flags, don't just follow your heart. No, make sure you take your brain with you. Thank you very much for being great listeners. And inshallah ta'ala, we will continue with other topics related to marriage and other than marriages. I was originally going to talk about how to figure these red flags by having 10 conversations with your future spouse.
Before the marriage.
Yeah, before the marriage, before your future spouse. I prepared to speak about 10 conversations you must to have before marriage. 10 conversations, 10 areas. But today is done. So one thing you can see this and look it out. I have a course online called Fiqh of Love. And you can take that, a whole entire module about. It's not only, one of the area, for example, past. But I break it down. What kind of question to ask about the past? What kind of question to ask about future? What kind of question to ask about family, about career, about finance, about religion, about work, about kids? What kind of question that you should have? What kind of conversation that you should have about these topics? And I think that's one of my favorite topics and one of the most important, because that will allow you to be able to know these flags, because the more you talk about it, these things pops up and start coming and more clear to you. But hopefully, inshallah, if we didn't get a chance to talk about it here in the masjid, you guys can go online and take the course, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.